The holidays are supposed to be a time of joy, warmth, and family. But sometimes, lurking in the shadows of twinkling lights and festive cheer, are chilling tales that will leave you questioning just how safe you truly are. Tonight, we're diving into 3 scary true Christmas night neighborhood stalker horror stories. These are true horror stories that will make you double-check your locks, draw your curtains tight, and maybe even sleep with the lights on. If you're ready to experience some of the most spine-chilling urban legends and terrifying tales of the season, stick around, because things are about to get dark. Before we begin, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more true scary horror stories and paranormal encounters. Let's get into it. This story is about the uninvited guest. It was December 23rd, and Chris was preparing for a holiday party at his parents' home in a quiet suburban neighborhood. The house, decorated with warm lights and a giant wreath on the door, radiated holiday cheer. While setting up in the living room, Chris glanced out the window and noticed a man standing on the street. Bundled in a thick coat and scarf, the figure stood eerily still, staring directly at their house. Chris dismissed it at first, assuming the man was a passerby admiring the decorations. As the evening wore on, Chris became increasingly uneasy. The man didn't move from his spot, standing under the dim glow of a streetlight. When Chris mentioned it to his parents, they brushed it off with light-hearted jokes, suggesting he was probably just a nosy neighbor or a harmless wanderer. However, Chris couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Every time he looked out the window, the man's face seemed obscured, but his posture remained fixed, watching. At one point during the party, Chris took the trash out to the bins by the curb. As soon as he stepped outside, the man began walking toward him. Chris's breath hitched as the figure approached, stopping just a few feet away. "Beautiful house," the man said with a sly grin, his voice low and raspy. "Bet it's full of gifts." Chris felt a chill run down his spine. Without responding, he hurried back inside, locking the door behind him. When he told his parents what happened, his father peeked out the window but saw no one. The man had disappeared. The party wrapped up around midnight, and the guests left. Chris stayed behind to help his parents clean up. As he took the last tray of leftovers to the kitchen, a loud, deliberate banging came from the back door. Startled, Chris dropped the tray, sending plates and food scattering across the floor. His father rushed to check the noise, and through the frosted glass of the door, they saw the same man. He was now pounding on the door with his fists, his breath fogging the glass as he shouted, "Open up. Let's share the Christmas spirit." Panic set in. Chris's father called the police while Chris and his mother barricaded the other doors. The banging continued relentlessly, growing louder and more aggressive. The man began kicking the door, shouting obscenities and promising that he wouldn't leave without his Christmas surprise. Chris could hear the man laughing as he jiggled the doorknob, sending waves of terror through the house. When the police sirens finally echoed in the distance, the man retreated into the shadows. Chris thought it was over, but as the officers arrived and began their search, they found something chilling. Hidden in the bushes near the back door was a large, empty sack and a crowbar. Inside the sack were duct tape, a knife, and a handwritten list of addresses, including Chris's house. Even after the man was arrested, the ordeal wasn't over. While questioning him, the police discovered that he had been stalking homes in the neighborhood for weeks, observing families and planning his twisted version of holiday visits. The man's intentions were far more sinister than anyone had imagined. He had a history of breaking into homes during the holidays, terrorizing families, and stealing their most personal belongings. Chris and his family struggled to find peace after the event. The image of the man's face pressed against the glass, his sinister grin and wild eyes, haunted Chris every time he walked past a window. They installed security cameras and a new alarm system, but the sense of safety they once felt in their home was gone. Every creak of the house and every shadow outside made Chris's heart race, a constant reminder of the night they had an uninvited guest. The experience turned their once joyful Christmas season into a nightmare. It became a chilling story they would never forget, a reminder of how quickly the holiday cheer can turn into one of the most terrifying tales. This story is about silent footsteps. Mia, 22, was house-sitting for her aunt over the Christmas holidays in a small, snowy town. The house was old but cozy, with creaky floors and a basement that gave her the creeps. She was settling in for a quiet night, watching scary stories animated on her laptop when she heard faint footsteps coming from upstairs. At first, she thought it was her imagination, but the sound grew louder. Slowly, she tiptoed up the stairs, calling out, "Hello." There was no answer, but one of the bedroom doors was slightly ajar, though she was sure it had been closed earlier. Her heart raced as she pushed the door open, finding nothing but an open window letting in the icy winter air. She locked the window and went back downstairs, convincing herself it was just the wind. But her unease only grew. Later that night, as she tried to distract herself by watching a comedy, she heard the footsteps again, this time coming from the basement. She froze, her blood turning to ice. The sound wasn't faint anymore, it was deliberate, as if someone was slowly moving through the crawlspace. Panicking, she grabbed her phone and whispered a call to the police. They assured her they were on their way. She stood by the door, holding a kitchen knife, listening to the chilling creaks below her feet. When the police arrived, they searched the house and found a man hiding in the basement crawlspace. He was dirty, disheveled, and clutching a small notebook. When questioned, he admitted he'd been watching her through the windows for days, writing down her every move. Mia's stomach churned as she realized the open window wasn't an accident, he had been inside the house earlier that evening. Just as the police were leading him away, one of the officers found something even more horrifying, a crude, makeshift shrine tucked into the corner of the basement. It was adorned with stolen photographs of Mia, strands of her hair, and personal items that had gone missing over the past few days, including the scarf she had been wearing the night she arrived. The man had planned to take her that very night, leaving behind the haunting remnants of his obsession. As Mia stared in horror at the grotesque display, one of the officers noticed something else, scratch marks etched into the wooden beams of the basement walls. The marks weren't random. They formed a pattern, a twisted series of dates and names. Mia realized with sickening clarity that the dates matched disappearances in the area over the last few years. The man hadn't just been watching, he had been hunting. She shuddered as she saw her own name scrawled faintly among the others, today's date marked beside it. The discovery left Mia paralyzed with fear. She spent the rest of the holiday staying with her parents, refusing to set foot in the house again. The terrifying eerie encounter became a constant nightmare, a chilling reminder that some of the darkest urban legends are horrifyingly real. Mia would later learn that the man had been stalking other women in the area, using the holiday season as a cover for his sinister plans. The ordeal left her scarred, a haunting tale that solidified her fear of ever being alone in a house again. This story is about the Christmas nightmare. Liam and Ellie were newlyweds spending their first Christmas together in a quiet suburban home. They'd spent the day decorating and playing holiday music when Ellie began noticing small things out of place, a misplaced ornament here, a strand of lights unplugged there. Liam chalked it up to Ellie's imagination until one night, as they were falling asleep, they heard a faint tapping on their bedroom window. Their room was on the second floor. Terrified, Liam went to investigate while Ellie stayed in the room, clutching her phone. Outside, there were no signs of anyone, but fresh snow had been disturbed near the side of the house. The couple decided to call the police, who searched the area but found nothing. The real horror came the next morning. They found a note taped to their front door, written in shaky handwriting, "I'll see you soon." The incident remained a haunted tale they'd never forget, and they installed security cameras the very next day. 2 nights later, the cameras captured something that chilled them to their core. At 3 a.m., a figure wearing a hooded coat and a Santa mask was seen walking slowly up their driveway. The person stood motionless for minutes, staring directly into the camera lens, before disappearing out of frame. The couple woke up to the footage and immediately contacted the police. The officers arrived and combed the area, but once again, no trace of the figure was found. Ellie and Liam tried to stay calm, but the eerie presence hung over them like a dark shadow. That evening, they decided to sleep in the living room, feeling too vulnerable upstairs. As they lay there on the couch with the TV providing a soft glow, the sound of the doorbell suddenly rang through the house. Liam froze, his heart pounding, while Ellie clutched his arm. They stared at each other, debating whether to answer. When Liam finally peeked through the peephole, no one was there. Minutes later, there was a loud bang against the back sliding door. Liam grabbed a kitchen knife and told Ellie to lock herself in the bathroom. He crept toward the back of the house, every creak of the floorboard magnifying his terror. When he reached the sliding door, the sight nearly stopped his heart. Pressed against the glass was the same Santa mask, but now with a jagged crack running through its surface. The figure didn't move for what felt like an eternity. Then, it raised its hand and pointed directly at Liam. Before Liam could react, the figure slammed its head into the glass, shattering it. Liam screamed for Ellie as the intruder crawled into the house. Moments later, the sound of sirens echoed in the distance. Ellie had called the police. The figure bolted, disappearing into the night, leaving behind only the mask and a trail of blood. The couple never discovered the person's identity, but the memory of the mask, the note, and the figure pointing at Liam haunted their dreams long after that Christmas. Months later, as they prepared to move to a new home, Ellie found something chilling in the attic, a box wrapped in festive paper, addressed to the lovable newlyweds. Inside was the shattered Santa mask, a broken knife, and a Polaroid photo of them sleeping on the couch the night of the intrusion. Scrawled on the back of the photo in the same shaky handwriting was a final message: still watching. Merry Christmas. These true scary horror stories remind us that even during the happiest time of the year, darkness can creep in. Whether it's a paranormal encounter, a chilling scare, or a creepy story of a real-life stalker, always stay vigilant. If you enjoyed these haunted tales and want more eerie experiences, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And remember, sometimes the scariest things aren't the ones hiding in the shadows, but the ones right outside your door. Stay safe, and have a Merry Christmas, if you can.